How are we doing, everybody? Daniel here with Buzz Gun Shop and Range. And I'm here today because I'm going to kind of cover some of the intro stuff that we have for some folks. If any of you know somebody that's a first-time person into the gun world, first of all, this industry and this fun competition sports that we have with target practice and all that other stuff. So, if you know somebody that's brand new into this, by all means share the link to them just so that way they can kind of get a free, somewhat intro to handgun stuff, just so that way they have an idea of what they're doing with this. So, starting off, first thing we always have to think about with some of these when we go into the intro to handgun stuff, which this isn't just going to be primarily for the beginners, there's also going to be some tidbits in there for those of you all that are going insane because you can't go to a beautiful place like what's behind me right now. Okay, so with that being said, intro to handguns. Pretty much, I bought a handgun. Cool, what do I do with it? So, first things first, with all of our handguns, we got a few rules that we've got to follow, okay? Rule number one, we're always going to keep firearms pointed in a safe direction. Now, safe direction can change depending on where you are. Right now in this range where I'm standing, all of my safe direction is primarily going to be pointed behind me. But for the demonstrations of this video, my gun's going to be pointed that way towards the wall, which is still considered a safe direction. But keep in mind of where your safe direction is, folks, just because that is a huge deal whenever it comes to using firearms as far as in self-defense or just in general target shooting, just because you don't know what's a couple feet behind your target or a couple miles, because bullets can travel quite a bit, especially with most ranges being shut down now. I'm sure most of you folks are outside shooting, which I envy you all. But moving on. So be sure of your target and keep your firearm pointed in a safe direction. Sorry. All right. Rule number two. Rule number two involves ammunition. So, anytime we're working with guns, either in the range or outside, this is our ammunition. Ammunition likes to get shot. So, whenever we're doing stuff like this, where we're doing a dry fire sequence or we're not actually in the course of live firing, guess what we do with this ammo? Ammunition goes somewhere completely different. Just because we want to make sure we're being as safe as we can. We want to make sure that all of our ammunition is in a completely separate location. Don't be as forceful as I was, but in a completely separate location, so when we are interacting with this firearm, we don't accidentally load it. That's where most of the accidental discharge comes. People weren't paying attention, ammo slides into the gun wants to shoot. So, ammunition somewhere else. All right, next rule. This right here is your trigger. Josh can zoom in on this. Right here is our trigger, okay? This is what sets the whole thing in motion. So, this is our trigger finger. Good common sense rule. If this doesn't meet up with this, nothing should happen, theoretically, okay? So, our last rule, or one of our rules that we have is going to be our fingers stay off the trigger until we're ready to fire. Ready to fire in this instance means my sights are on target and I want this gun to go off. I'm ready for it to fire. Not pointed at the ground, the ceiling, floors, your cat, dog, whatever. Don't point your gun at your cat and the dog, that's bad. But make sure that you are ready for that gun to go off. Just in the off chance that something does happen, if it's pointed in a safe direction, if it's on your target, the bullet's going where you want it to go instead of somewhere you don't want it to, okay? Now, last thing. With this, all firearms should be treated as if they're loaded, no matter what, okay? The main thing is even in here in the gun stores, when we hand you a firearm, typically we hand it to you in this fashion. Slide locked open, magazine out of the actual firearm, just that way you can see through it and make sure it's unloaded. Now, don't trust some folks, okay? Just because if I hand you a gun like this, it still looks loaded. So you need to know how to clear that, which we've already done a video on that. So look through our Facebook. We've got some videos for that. All right, safety rules. Now that we're off the safety pedestal. The main thing with any firearm things is safety is key. We as the firearm owners are the ones that have to be responsible for the safety of the actual firearm and what we do with it. Okay, we are the responsible ones. Just because this firearm is in my hand, I am responsible for the safety of it and what happens to it. All right, now that I've gotten off my safeties thing there. So, firearms, okay? For this one, I'm going to be using mine just that way I can kind of show you some of the things that you all can practice at home for some of you that have been doing this for a while and also for some of you first-time shooters. Now, as always, we always tell people, read your manuals. Your manuals will tell you every single thing that you need to know about your gun. I just bought a gun a few days ago. I've already read the manual. I know how it works, okay? So, your manual will tell you all the stuff that you need to know. Sitting at home, again, one of the things we recommend, clean your firearm. Actually get used to it. Learn how to take it apart, to disassemble it, all the different features and things that you need to know as far as what's in it, just so that way you get more comfortable with how your gun works. My gun is completely disgusting, which I just realized that before I was shooting this video. So, we're going to put that back together. But take some time to get to know your gun. Take your gun apart and actually get to work with it a lot more. The main thing that you get from shooting in general, the range time is an important part, but it is not the only and sole purpose of buying firearms, which it's the fun part. But a lot of this stuff actually takes place at home, doing these dry fire drills, getting to know your gun, working with the actual action of it to get comfortable with it. Most of this stuff is building your confidence. The more you do this, the more confidence you get with doing all of this stuff. So, do your practice at home, okay? Now, some of the things that you need to look for, okay, as far as stuff that you all can practice now. A lot of times what I notice with people here in the range is that a lot of them don't practice their magazine changes, doing their stoppage drills, practicing their trigger squeeze, out of the holster, some of the stuff like that, okay? So, this one's going to be geared towards more of our experienced folks that come in here and just shoot paper all the time, okay? So, first things first, doing magazine changes, okay? There's no ammunition in this magazine. This is my empty magazine, just that way I can show you what I'm talking about, okay? So, gun's clear here, but I have my empty magazine. So, one of the things I see all the time is that whenever something happens, as far as the magazine needs to be reloaded or something like that, I see a whole lot of people who fumble trying to figure out how to put their magazine in. Not necessarily, you know, hey, big empty hole, magazine obviously fits. It's mainly the actual fluid motion of doing the reload itself. A lot of time we see people kind of stumbling to try and get it in there. This is a time to practice and get used to this stuff at home. As far as for those of you folks that carry, this is a great time to get your stuff set up the right way, so that way if you need to do a reload, everything is right where you need it to go and you don't have to worry about looking for it. It's just all pretty much, I don't want to say muscle memory, but you know exactly where everything's going to be at. I just missed my gun, see, I haven't been practicing. But you know where everything's going to be at, so that way whenever you go to load this stuff in there, it doesn't take much effort. The main thing that you want to get in the habit of, okay, I should be able to reload this gun without looking at it, okay? I shouldn't have to sit here and go, that's my gun, magazine, okay? I shouldn't have to be focusing on this. Think of this from a self-defense situation. Which one's more important to look at if you're actually using this stuff, your gun or the target? Targets can move relatively quickly. If I'm looking at this, that gives them an advantage. So, I'd rather look at them. I can still do, and I still messed it up again. I can still do this stuff without looking at my gun, okay? You need to get in the habit of doing that, all right? So, magazine changes. Next up, okay? Actually clearing stoppages, okay? Sorry, paranoid. Actually clearing stoppages. What we mean by a stoppage is my gun goes click but no bang. Click, no bang, something happened, okay? Generally, I don't have time to worry about what's going on with this round. So, what I'm going to do, again, empty magazine, empty gun, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we generally do a stoppage drill, okay? Gun goes click, no bang. In this instance, what I need to do is, one, make sure my magazine's seated all the way. Now, again, with that, this whole Hollywood thing where, no, you don't need to smack it as hard as you possibly can. That's how you break stuff, especially these feed lips that are right there, okay? Just gentle pressure. All I'm checking for with that is to make sure that if I didn't put my magazine in all the way, it's seated all the way in there, okay? So, first step, tap my magazine, okay? Next step, what I'm going to do is rack my slide, okay? Which implies the second step, rack. All I'm simply going to do, palm on this side, fingertips on this side, and I'm going to, let's see if I can do it without my slide locking open, push my gun forward to kick that round out of there. At that point, it should kick the round out, and it should put a new one in. Don't worry about that round when it came out. You can look for it later, okay? So, rack my gun, okay? The last step's the fun step, bang. Just fire the trigger, okay? Now, you all noticed I did that without having ammunition. You can still do this stuff at home, okay? Now, last thing, for some of you professional folks, have you ever been shooting on your target and then all of a sudden you see your groupings going way down here or way over here or somewhere that's not right dead in the center? This is more than likely your trigger squeeze, okay? What I mean by that is your actual finger placement on the gun itself and how you squeeze the trigger. Most of the time what I see is when I'm shooting, I see guns doing this every single time, and that's because people are slapping their trigger. Trigger squeeze is important. Nice, slow, steady squeeze. When the gun goes off, it should be a surprise to you. Most people think, oh, well, that's contradictory to shooting fast. Basics, folks. You have to get the basic bare bone foundation before you can start getting to fast. Shooting fast and shooting accurate do not go together. It takes a lot of time, okay? Eventually you can get there, but for right now, we're trying to work on the basic stuff. All right, off that one. So, now, with that, where do I put my finger on the trigger? Going back to you beginner folks. So, if everybody looks at their finger, okay, there's 3 different sections that we have on there. We're going to look from here up. You've got this crease right here, you've got the actual meaty pad of your finger, and you've got the fingertip. Generally, we recommend putting it on the meaty portion of your finger, which is that pad in the middle. That way you can apply the most even and direct pressure as you squeeze through the trigger. Now, notice what I kept saying, squeeze. Squeeze is very important, okay? When you're squeezing this firearm, what you want to do is finger on the trigger, you're going to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze nice and slow so that whenever this actually goes off, it's a surprise to you. The reason being is most of the time when I see first-time shooters, they're shooting down here. And that's because what I see at the side is this, right before they start shooting. That's anticipating. Even though this gun is not physically causing you pain, our ears try and trigger us and tell us, hey, loud noise equals pain. So our bodies try to tense up to it so that way we try and overcompensate for that recoil. So what we do, drive that bullet straight down. But if you're squeezing, your body has no idea really when it's going to go off, unless you're cheating. So squeezing nice and slow, your body doesn't have time to react to it, which as long as you're holding the gun in with a natural, comfortable grip, you're not death gripping it, nice, comfortable, the gun's not going to come back and smack you in the face unless your first gun's a Desert Eagle. Don't shoot that, come talk to us first. But, anyways, nice, comfortable grip, and you're going to squeeze nice and slow on that trigger. So when the gun goes off, I don't see this from the side, I just see, okay, very limited movement, okay? All right, now, with that, for some of you experienced folks, doing your dry fire drills at home gives you time to learn the gun more, which we'll kind of get into this a little bit later, but there's a method kind of called riding the reset, which can help you shoot faster. I'm not going to cover that yet just because I know half of you all are going to probably, that's a whole separate section. So, but with this, even for you experienced folks, doing this at home, I do it all the time with my guns. When I take them out of the safe before I get to load them, I'll sit here and I'll kind of remember how my trigger works, because for those of you that have seen me in here before, I switch out guns all the time, so I want to remember how my trigger works. So I just kind of hold it in my hands, get comfortable and get used to how it feels, racking the slide, and I squeeze the trigger nice and slow so that way I can see how it actually feels and breaks, as well as where it resets, okay? So, more of getting to know your gun a lot more intimately. Right now, by the time you all get out of quarantine, you kind of walk into a brand new world, it should be your best friend. So, all right. Trying to remember what else. Do we have any questions? You are killing me. Ask questions. All right. I guess I'll just keep talking. Also, too, with this, so my gun has one, a manual safety. This is going back to some of you experienced folks. All right. Now is the perfect time to practice drawing your gun from your holster. Again, for my experienced folks, not for my beginners. Okay, beginners, practice on your basic fundamentals of holding the gun in the right position, which again, we did a video already on how to hold the gun and everything. Okay, so my experienced folks, now is a good time to figure out how to actually get your gun in your holster and get it out of your holster in a rapid succession, while at the same time disengaging your safeties, making sure everything's locked in the right position, stuff like that, which I just kind of missed my holster there. But this is a good time to practice that, especially for those of you that are carrying in a concealed manner where your gun's inside the waistband or something like that. Being able to rapidly get to your gun with no ammunition, practice getting it out, clearing it, and making sure that you're not doing something that's unsafe with it. Now, most of the time when we do instruction and stuff like that, it's nice to have a second set of eyes. So, what I tell people to do, GoPros or cameras, record yourself, okay? Just so that way you can kind of see if you're doing something wrong. Main thing when you're pulling your gun out of your holster is make sure you're not flagging yourself when you're bringing that gun out. Natural tendencies whenever we're in adrenaline situations, my finger, gun's pointed here, guess what I just did? Bad boo-boo, okay? So, trying to think what else. All right. Also, too, for some of you first-time folks, okay, practice getting in the habit of loading your magazines. Okay, that's one of the hardest things we see all the time, is people have difficulty struggling with loading their magazines. Okay, this is a good time to practice. If not, this will let you know if there's other accessories you need, like Upalas, speed loaders, things of that nature to kind of help you assist in loading that magazine, okay? Put all my bullets away. So, all right. Now, going into some of the other stuff, okay? For your first time folks. Sorry, I had some feedback going on. Good. Thanks for bearing with us. All right, so for some of you folks that are brand new into this stuff, there's all sorts of literature, there's all sorts of videos, there's all sorts of stuff that's out there online. Again, be careful with what you read. Make sure you're getting it from accredited sources. We here at Buds, we don't just hire just random Joe Schmoes off the street that don't know what they're doing. I have plenty of experience with NRA certifications, law enforcement, military, all sorts of acronyms and initials, which my whole resume is posted online on the Facebook page, or not Facebook page, KY page. All my stuff's on there, so just that way you don't think I'm just some guy that stole a shirt and came up here. But
So how, if we wanted to get a Commonwealth gun license, how'd you go about doing that?
so I'm assuming you're talking about the CDWL, the Carry Concealed Deadly Weapon. So for that right now, as far as I know, most places have shut down their classes. I know here at the store we have shut down our classes. We will reopen those when we reopen the range. Right now, the main limitation with that is the social distancing, things of that nature. As you can see, aside from Josh, we're the only people in here. So social distancing and making sure we overcome the corona is the top priority. But whenever that kind of fades down, which hopefully it does in normal weather, because I'm ready for stuff to get back to normal, then you'll see those classes reemerging. For that, you have to take a class, which either is accredited by the USCCA, NRA, Department of Criminal Justice Training here in Kentucky, or a class authorized through KSB by one of the first two mentioned organizations. Those are typically anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of you listening to somebody like me talk, telling you all the legality, what it means to carry a gun, what you have to do, things of that nature, depending on which class you take. After that, then you get the whole process of you get a certificate from Department of Criminal Justice Training saying, hey, here's your certificate saying you can carry a gun. But that does not mean you can carry a gun. That's just saying you are approved to get the license. You still have to wait on your license from the sheriff to get that to you. So after that, you'll take it into the sheriff's office, or you can do it online now and file for the actual permit itself. And then they'll send that to the sheriff's office and you go pick it up. So it is a lengthy process, but we do always recommend it just because I had somebody say that. So this is my opinion. I don't like constitutional carry just because it means people who are uneducated and don't know what they're doing can put on a gun and hurt themselves or somebody else. After I got my concealed carry permit, I was in the Burger King in Richmond and I watched one guy walk in and say, guess who got their permit? Put a gun straight down on the table. Anyways, but that was one of the exceptions that even the class, he still got it. But there needs to be some type of education. Nobody can just pick up a gun or drive a car, or I don't know how to fly a plane. It doesn't mean I'm going to jump in one and know what I'm doing. Sorry, ranting. Anyways, but yes, the concealed carry is a very important thing. We always encourage getting it just because you also have the reciprocity traveling through state laws or state lines through certain states, and also too, buying a gun here, most of the people who come in to buy a gun are putting on a delay status, so being able to have that permit where they run the check on you monthly kind of speeds you through that process. So, good questions. Anybody else? Okay, anyways. So, with that being said, okay, so that's just kind of our brief overview in the intro to handguns portion. This is kind of some stuff that you all can do. Stick with me. We're going to be putting out more stuff for some of you all. I know probably some of my expert folks are kind of going, oh, that was pointless. But think about it, folks. How many of you all have actually broken yourself down to the basic beginning level to see how different you are? Because a lot of folks think that they just get in this industry, they hit the red a few times, and they're like, oh, I'm a pro. No, break yourself back down to the beginning. See how much stuff you've picked up that's bad that you've altered that's not the right way to do it. It doesn't hurt you to take a step back and then start over again. Now, doing it with driving, I could probably not pass the permit test at this point. But same, just go back to the beginning some, okay? It's not going to hurt you. Bear with me. Work through this a few times. We're going to start building on what we learned today.
So is 10 mil still the best?
10 mil, what is the best is a complete matter of personal opinion. Kind of like buttholes, everybody has one. It's all just depending on what you think, okay? 10 mil, I've shot it quite a bit. My main problem with it is the cost on it. If the cost wasn't so bad, I don't think it'd be a bad gun. I mean, it's just, I'm cheap. I like shooting cheap stuff, which is right now why I only shoot 22, just because everything else is so expensive. So I shoot 22s now, except for my Scorpion I bought. But, no, 10 mil's not a bad caliber. Don't think I got anything against it. It's just I'm cheap. I mean, if somebody wants to donate a 10 mil to me, I'd be more than happy to take that. But, anyways, so, yeah. Same guy. All right. Was it the same guy?
I think so.
Okay, same guy. Come on. But we are going to start building more and more on this stuff. If you all have not heard, I'm sure some of you already on our Facebook have seen the memo that's been put out there. Effective as of Monday, we will be shutting down tomorrow. Yeah, I forgot. Tomorrow. Effective tomorrow, we will be shutting down shutting down the store to the public. What that means is that the doors in the physical store, online portion is completely opened up now. Everything we have in the store, you can still get ordered online. We're just doing this for the next foreseeable future. We're going to kind of gauge and see where the federal government is, the CDC, state levels, all that stuff is, and we'll reevaluate whether we're going to open. Now, when we open, I don't know if the range will be open. Just stop it. I don't know if it'll be open, okay? We're going to do a whole lot of repairs and stuff during this time so that when you come back in, the range will be all new and shiny. So that way, if we do get the range open, we're going to have some fun with that, because I'm going to probably do a huge video for that one. But, so that's starting effective tomorrow, so our doors will be closed. We will still be here to answer chats, phone calls, I think, if the phone lines open up, emails, or what have you, or honestly, the easiest way, just get a hold of me through Facebook or Instagram, or shoot me an email, and I'd be more than happy to help you all out. I've been doing that for the past 2 weeks, so feel free to reach out to me. If I can't find an answer for you, I will find somebody that will, and I will make them answer that question for you, except where's my order? I can tell you where it's at. It hasn't shipped yet. It's just, I'll tell you the same thing you already know. Stop asking me, okay? If you haven't heard from us again, message number 5. If you haven't heard from us yet, that means your stuff's still on track. We're working on it. A lot of our folks we're going to send down to Paris to kind of help out with that. What else did I do? Is that it? Okay. All right. Cool. So we thank you all for sticking with us. Even though our store is going to be closed down, we're still going to be doing videos, all sorts of fun stuff for you all, just so that way we can kind of help you out. We're going to branch off a little bit from this, doing handguns, long guns, rifles, or handguns, long guns, shotguns. Mackenzie might do a crossbow on her channel. Who knows? That's up to her. Or just do pimp shooting on a compound bow. But we are going to be pushing out a lot of training and stuff for you all, just that way you all aren't sitting in your house getting bored out of your mind. So, again, you all got something you want to see, leave a comment down below. I will do the best to try and come up with a class for it. But we thank you all for your patience through all this stuff. We hope that everybody's being safe, that everybody hasn't lost their minds yet with it, and that everybody stays healthy. That's the main thing right now. Wash your digits after you touch stuff. Be careful going out. If you all run into toilet paper, don't be greedy. Don't let Gam try and fight me for paper towels again. But everybody be safe, be healthy. This is the time to take some training for you all. We'll be here if you got any questions. But this is Daniel with Bud Gun Shop and Range here in Lexington, Kentucky. Everybody stay safe out there.